Music in the Cafe, a Lukanette alternate universe month-long fan fiction. Each day will be based on a writing prompt from the Lukanette September 2019 calendar. I do not own this calendar. I will be linking the Tumblr post I found it in the description box below. Thank you for reading, listening, or watching. Please enjoy. Day 9. Needles and Thread. Tiki and Alia looked at each other, and then back at the fuming girl in front. She was hand-sewing strips of fabric together and had been for 30 minutes now. Neither of them knew why, and why Marinette was so angry, or what had happened. "Marinette?" Alia said gently. Marinette looked up from her sewing and nodded. The fire was still in her eyes. She huffed and set down the needle and threads. "Agreste is the worst," she lamented. Tiki and Alia looked at each other again and nodded. "Yes, dear, he is. But why is he even worse now?" Tiki said with an uncertain and small smile on her face as an attempt to lighten the feel of the room. "I should start from the beginning, shouldn't I?" Her friends nodded. "Well, he came over, and I was being nice and made some treats. He still loves croissants, apparently," Marinette said, giving a sharp, humorless laugh. "Anyways, it was kind of awkward, and so I asked what he wanted, and he was so insistent on mending the burnt bridges, so I was like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever." The black-haired girl gritted her teeth, thinking of what he'd actually come for. "He saw the lucky guitar pick that Luca gave me, and of course, he found some way to turn that into an argument." Flashback. "So yeah, this might be a terrible idea. A lot went down last time we spoke," Marinette told Luca. He nodded and gave her a reassuring smile. "That's okay." Marinette's cheeks flushed. Luca was being so understanding and helpful about all of this, even though he didn't fully know what was happening. "Should I let them talk it out, or is that a bad idea?" she asked. Luca pursed his lips to one side and hummed softly. "Well," he started, "it's more about your feelings. You said this comes from maybe a year back or so, right?" Marinette nodded. "Well, if seeing them or hearing their voice hurts, and it still brings up all of those memories, good and bad, then maybe now isn't the time. If you see their name, or see their number, or hear about them, and you feel you're okay with them being in the past, and that you can dig it all out and everything without breaking over it, I think you should talk to them. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's only a bad idea if you feel it will hurt you," Luca explained. Marinette nodded again, thankful for his insight. "So, the question is, are you ready to let it go?" he asked. His blue eyes stared into hers. His eyes were so bright and blue, like the ocean, full of depth and beauty. Marinette felt the opia intensely and truly. Was she ready to let it all go? Was she ready to leave it in the past? Alia had told her so many times before that the past is the past, and the future is something different. The more and more you make the future copy the past, the more hurt you bring onto yourself. She'd never gotten closure before. She'd ended things too quickly. Marinette had packed everything up that she owned while he was away at work and said goodbye as soon as Adrian came home. Now she could reach out and close it all. She had the ending of the horrible chapter of her life in her hands. Was she ready to take it and grasp it close? Marinette breathed softly, still not breaking the warm and caring gaze of Luca Cofain. Yes, she was. The old chapter must be completed before a newer, better, more beautiful chapter can begin. And the new chapter was this black and blue-haired man in front of her, showing her more compassion and care than she ever thought a human could give. And the only way for her to begin was to turn the page. "Yes," she breathed. Luca smiled. It was bright and loving, and the sweetest thing she'd ever seen. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a guitar pick with words printed on it. "You must jump to fly," Luca said gently. He held out the small guitar accessory with the smallest words on it. "When I told my sister I wanted to pursue music, she gave me this the next day. She said, 'You are taking a chance on this, a risk, and it might not work out. But it also might. You must jump. You must jump to fly.'" Luca took Marinette's hand and pressed it into her palm. "It's been my lucky pick since then. I had it the day I met you, so I think it works pretty well." He chuckled, and Marinette only blushed. "I think you could use some luck tonight." Marinette closed her hand, trapping his in it. "Thank you," she said softly. End of flashback. Tiki's eyes widened at that. "A freaking guitar pick. How the heck did someone turn that into an argument?" Marinette sighed. "Yeah, I know, right? I know exactly what you guys are thinking. How? Well, he said that guitar was his second favorite string instrument, and I was like, cool, what's number one? And he was like, piano, and I know, right? Anyways, I told him that I didn't think that piano was considered a string instrument, and he got all mad and defensive. It was so dumb, and he was so annoying about it." Tiki scowled. "Why is he so crazy?" she said in a tired and slightly condescending voice. Pushing back her red hair, she rubbed her temples. Tiki wasn't even there for the argument, but just hearing about it made her mad. Thank goodness Plag wasn't here, or he'd go on a rampage. Alia had her face in her hands and was mumbling things under her breath. Something about stupid idiots that she never wanted to meet or see again. So of course I yelled at him again, and he finally told me the real reason he reached out, Marinette said. She was sewing very intensely and forcefully. It was rather uncommon to find Marinette hand sewing. She despised it. There was a reason she had 4 different machines. The last time Tiki had seen Marinette hand sew was during the last 6 months of her relationship with Adrian. Whenever she crashed at Alia's or her and Plag's place, or even in her own studio upstairs, the cafe owner could be found hand-stitching blankets or clothes, sometimes mumbling angrily or crying silent tears. Tiki hated seeing it. She hated seeing Marinette drag out her box because it always meant that something bad had happened. What was the real reason? Alia growled. Her hands were gripping the table tightly. He said, Marinette trailed off, he said he wanted to mend things, to get back together. What? Alia cried, jumping up from the chair. Tiki looked down silently. What the heck was wrong with Adrian? The way he had acted before, the way he had acted today. Did he really think that he could just waltz right back into Marinette's life? I'm going to end him, Alia shouted. Marinette gave a sharp laugh. I'll help you. Agreste is an idiot who knows nothing. Alia nodded and began to pace around. Tiki breathed, trying to keep the bubbling anger down. Marinette, I just want to make sure, but are you okay? She said, fighting to keep her voice level. We all know that sewing by hand is not your favorite task of all time, and you only do it so you can distract yourself. Marinette nodded and set the fabric in her lap. Yeah, actually, I am. I'm mad, but I'm not all sad like before. I'm not jumping at the chance to be with him again, so I'm happy I'm over it and moved on. I'm just mad. Really freaking mad, Marinette explained, sewing another stitch. Tiki nodded and sighed. Well, he's never coming back. I don't know if that was the closure we all wanted you to have, but... Marinette snorted. If he knows what's best for him, he won't. And actually, I think it was, Marinette said. Tiki and Alia both looked at her, eyebrows raised and eyes wide. She giggled at their expressions. I know who he is now, and I know he won't ever change back, and yeah, it's like a slap in the face, but how else do you wake someone in a daydream? I've been in such a daze for the past year or so. I'm awake now, and I'm letting it and him go, Marinette said, her face a triumphant smile. Woo, yay, Tiki cooed. Ollie and her both crushed Marinette in a hug. He's no longer gonna affect my life, Marinette announced, making her friends smile widely. Her own smile grew, a secret thought going through her mind. Agrest is not going to stop me from doing anything I want. I'm done letting him. I'm going to do what he thought I could never do. I'm going to open my own design studio, and it will succeed. Marinette smiled faintly to herself as her friends chatted excitedly about a celebration. Even though the thought was kept to herself, soon it would be a reality, and everyone would know it. Ladybug's studio. It would be real, no matter what.